I can test when it comes up here in a second. Make sure it's
Sure.
picking up both of our voices well.
Yeah, dude. What's up?
Yeah, bro.
What's up?
Yeah, bro. All right, it's picking us both up perfectly. Awesome.
Cool. Cool.
So, first time ever doing this for audio only listeners. I apologize for any like extra if we have questions or any extra stuff going on this, but we're actually live streaming this on Twitch right now. It's the first time we've ever live streamed an episode of the podcast. Something we kind of talked about in the past, but had never really done. I put together like a quick little ghetto overlay for us with a picture from our website with our logo and all that good stuff that Tom designed, and then an album cover of the album that we're going to be talking about today. And we're also going to put this video probably up on our YouTube afterwards. Like I figured there's no reason why not to, because we'll have the video file. So trying something new. Thanks for anybody who tunes in and checks it out live. And for the rest of you who are used to listening to this on, iTunes or Stitcher or wherever else, it'll be there probably early next week. So without further ado, let's get into it, man. So how are you doing,
Dude.
Tom? It's been a little while.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Been busy. I was just on the stream checking out this overlay. It's pretty sweet.
I mean, for like 2 seconds. Oh, what's up, Evan? For like 2 seconds, I mean, why not? I mean, we literally put this together in probably the 15 minutes leading up to going live. So
Nice.
and for just an FYI, the dawning in chat, that's Evan Moritz from Geneva, who I'm sure you
Oh,
remember.
nice.
Yeah.
What's up, Evan?
So yeah, it's been a
Cool. Yeah, this
while.
is weird.
It's been at least 3 weeks since we recorded, I think.
I think 4, closer to 4.
And I apologize. I think a lot of that is my fault. But I think we kind of came to the
We've
agreement,
been
and we've said
busy.
this on the podcast before, but I think we came to the agreement that we're not going to force anything. And if there's not an album that we're going crazy over or whatever, we don't want to just force an episode and throw it out there. But fortunately, an album came along that Tom is really, really digging, and I'm starting to dig too. It took me a
Nice.
little bit
That's
longer
good.
to get into it, but the last couple of days I've been jamming it a lot.
Yeah,
So
it was definitely a slow burn for me as well. But yeah, definitely loving it.
good. Well, before we get all into that, typically before we talk about the album of the week, we do kind of pickups and talk about any vinyls that we've picked up in the last couple of weeks since we recorded last, and then we'll also kind of talk about what we've been listening to and anything else that's going on. Do you want to finish your story first before we started recording? You were telling me a little bit about going out of town and stuff in your face and then trying to come back and actually like exercise and
Yeah, recovering from vacation time. So yeah, I mean, it's been a little while, but I wouldn't say that either one of us is really to blame. I think, like you said, it's lack of exciting albums for both of us, and then just being busy. I was on vacation for just over a week. Went out to Arizona to visit some family out there, and of course, ended up overeating
yep,
really good Mexican food.
it's the way to
Um,
do it.
Yeah, so that was good. Nice relaxing time, just hanging out with like grandparents and stuff. So, very hot. It was like 118 the day before we left, which was like a record high for them.
Jeez.
So that was fun. It was like over 100 by 9:30 in the morning, and then didn't drop below 100 until like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
So
that's
definitely,
not, at least
definitely
it's
warm.
dry heat, but still, um,
Yeah,
100
it
degrees
gets to
plus
be a
is
point where
hot,
it's like
period, regardless of
doesn't
humidity.
matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Down here, though,
So
if it's
that, and
102
then
and then humid, it's just completely insane. So,
oh, that's yeah, you're swimming. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I haven't really picked up too much. So that was kind of the other reason why I didn't feel like we needed to record anything. I've been kind of, trying to rein it in a little bit more.
yeah, a little bit. We've been going a little crazy on the record
Yeah,
expenditures here lately. So, for the past month, I don't
yeah,
think I've bought anything just because I pre ordered Manchester Orchestra. And wasn't that
yep.
like a $35 pre-order or something
It
too?
was
Like
an
it's not the
expensive,
cheapest. Yeah, it
yeah.
was definitely like a more expensive pickup.
Did you go with the deluxe package?
The one with the t-shirt and everything? No, the
Yeah,
gold one. I went with
no.
the smoky whatever it was. Was it like
Yeah. It
uh
looked like maybe like a translucent or clear with
Yep.
black smoke,
Yep. I thought it looked cooler, and it was also not
or
like
white with black smoke.
$60 or something. So
Yeah, that was a little crazy. I don't know. I've listened to the three singles that they've put out so far. I really like the gold. But the other two, I was like, take or leave. Wasn't too crazy about them.
give it another listen, man. The gold is my favorite of the three singles, but is it the Moth?
That's the
That
new
was the
one.
most recent one. Is actually like really really good. But I had to listen to it a lot. It grew on me a lot.
I've only listened to it once, so
Yeah,
maybe
give it
I'll
a couple more
have to
listens
give it
because
another
I think it's
shot.
a really good song too. I am excited about the variety in the three singles that they've released so far.
Yeah,
Because I think it's gonna be an interesting album overall. It's hard to,
definitely.
based on the three that they've released, it's hard to judge an overall tone of the album until we see the rest of it. Because like the Moth is really depressing, and the Gold, it's not that the Gold isn't depressing, but it's a more upbeat um,
Yeah,
tune overall. Um, so there's definitely it'll be interesting to see the variety in the album, see where it
yeah.
goes.
With each of these singles, it kind of reminds me of where they're at and where they're coming from. Just having finished up the Swiss Army Man soundtrack
Yep.
and having like a really experimental vibe on that soundtrack and having to really push themselves musically. I feel like we're seeing that in the singles. We're seeing them kind of, like you said, not really stick to one sound, kind of branching out, which is cool.
Right.
So just keeping that in mind, I'm really looking forward to what else they're going to put out on this album.
Fortunately, with the Gold too, I mean the Gold could easily have fit into um, some of their older albums, a little bit more kind of as radio hit worthy as Manchester gets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas the other two, I feel like are a little bit more experimental. So hopefully, we'll
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
little
I
bit of
agree.
both on the album.
Sure.
Other than that, anything else you've been? I know we said we haven't really picked up much, but what have you been listening to besides Posture and the Grizzly?
So actually I've been listening to a lot. And just being on vacation, having a ton of free time, it was easy to just go through Spotify and try to listen to new music and discover stuff. And that's how I stumbled across Posture and the Grizzly. Was through that whole, I like went down the rabbit hole of related artists and ended up on like 20 different pages. And they were one of them, and they kind of just stuck a little more than some of the others. Um, so I haven't ordered too much lately or picked up too much lately, but I've pre-ordered a bunch of stuff. Did you see that the SRC pre-order of Story of the Year got pushed back
I did. I saw that, which
again?
is disappointing. It's like the second.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to say it was the third pushback, but I know it's at least the second.
I think it was the third.
All I know is
I
since
think
I
it was the
pre-ordered
third.
it, it's been like just delay,
It's
delay,
gonna turn.
delay.
It's gonna be just like that Panic at the Disco album that I waited almost a year for.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even want it that bad, but it's just annoying that it keeps getting delayed.
I definitely want it because it was in my list of five albums when we did the record on like five albums that
Yeah,
kind of made us who we are.
yeah.
Um, so even if I don't spin it a whole ton, I want it. I need it. I've got all the other
Yeah.
four, so it's the only one I'm still
Um,
missing.
I pre-ordered. So you pre-ordered Hot Mulligan's Opportunities, right?
Correct.
Wasn't that supposed to come out at the end of June? You haven't
Yeah,
gotten
no,
your
I've
copy
not
then,
even
have you?
gotten an email or anything about it. So yeah, like things getting delayed left and right.
Yeah.
Super frustrating. I'm actually gonna look that up.
They just posted a picture of it on their Instagram not too long ago, like a few days ago, I want to say. So I'm hoping that means that they're coming out soon.
Yeah, I would
But
hope so. They
I got the
posted a picture of
t-shirt
the
bundle.
album.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
I
it.
think
Make sure to pick one up on our tour.
they didn't say
Oh,
anything about
great.
shipping anything out, did
Great.
they?
So you've got them for the people that come to the tour, but you haven't shipped them out yet? Oh yeah, I just look at the responses. So No Sleep Records posted, we haven't shipped them out yet. They're still in transit to us. We shipped a few expedited to the band directly from the plant to make sure they arrived for their tour. That makes sense.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get them in the next week or two. And
Yeah,
that was two
hopefully.
days ago that they posted that. I'm super excited about that one because I have been listening to that album so much still.
Yeah, same. Yep. The only thing is like I feel like I've ordered so much Hot Mulligan stuff and haven't gotten any of it yet. So I ordered that 7-inch split they did with Everyone Leaves
And you haven't
off of
gotten
their
that yet either?
their Bandcamp page. No, I haven't gotten it. I haven't gotten any notifications or anything. So I'm wondering if that
That
was like an
wasn't even
old
a
page.
pre-order, was it? That was just like a
No,
this is
that
in
was an
stock
old
now.
split. Yeah, yeah. So I should have gotten that one quite a long time ago. And then did you see they did like a really limited run of like a 5-inch flexi disc of the Princess Peach single?
No, I did not.
Oh, I got one of those.
I would have been all over that. Although it always hurts to pay like what was it, like $10 for one song?
It was 20. No, it was like 20 after it shipped, I
20?
think.
Oh my
16
god.
bucks or something like that.
That's
Yeah,
so painful.
it was, but it was one of 25, so I was like, I have to.
Yeah, one of 25. That's the most rare pressing I've seen.
Yeah, I tried to grab you one too, man. I swear. But it wouldn't let
It
you
wouldn't let you get
have,
the
it
one.
wouldn't let you check out with more than one. So I checked out with mine because I like refreshed the page right when they went on sale. So I
Yeah.
checked out, got mine, and then went back in, tried to add another one to the cart, and then it said this item is sold out. So it was like
Oh man.
literally
I
2
appreciate
minutes.
the attempt. I'm glad that they do that though because um just people who are like scalpers and stuff, I hate
Oh
that. And
yeah,
imagine if someone
yeah,
like, oh, there's only 25 of these, I'm gonna grab 20 of them and then I'm just gonna resell them
yeah,
for like, $40 a
twice as
piece or
much.
whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's rough.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think I've picked up much. But as far as like listening to new stuff goes, I was just looking at my Spotify so I can like try and remember.
A lot of
Last year, the
summer stuff, I'm
Grizzlies.
assuming.
Yeah, yeah. Have you listened to McCafferty at all?
I have not.
Um, were you ever really big into the front bottoms?
I mean, a little bit. It was more of
Yeah,
like I love Twin Size Mattress and a couple songs from that album. Never bought. I have Talent of the Hawk, but that's the only album I have on vinyl. Never bought
yeah.
any of their releases since, so not
Um,
crazy about them.
yeah. I think one of the guys from McCafferty. I'm not super familiar with the band. I just started listening to them recently, but one of them did an interview over at Stage Banter, I think, where they talked about um, all the like flack that they've been getting for sounding very similar to the Front Bottoms.
Wasn't there another band that their manager asked us to interview them for the podcast, and they sounded exactly like the Front Bottoms?
Yeah.
And I'm
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
remember the name of the band.
They were way too similar.
They were exactly like the
McCafferty,
Front Bottoms,
yeah,
just not as good.
McCafferty sounds a little bit different, I think. But yeah, I would check out their new. I think they have a new EP out called "Thanks, Sorry, Sure." That's pretty good. So I've been listening to that. There's this cool math rock band that I found called Invalids. But you weren't really big into like TTNG or anything like that, right?
Not crazy.
If anyone's into that, I would check out Invalids. It's nuts. It's a little like overwhelming how much they jam into their songs, which is cool.
Invalids, cool. I'll check them out. Check them out for sure.
Another one that did you know? I'm not super familiar with the story so far and their lineup, but apparently one of them has a side project called Elder Brother. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I've not, which is surprising because I'm supposed to be the bigger Story So Far fan of the two of us.
Yeah. I actually
Slacking clearly.
so I uncovered these guys during this whole
You said Elder Brother.
experience. Yeah. And they're pretty good. They're a little different. They're not like pop punk. It's more like, I don't know, acoustic, folksy kind of emo.
Hell
Dashboard
yeah, I
Confessional,
dig
all this
that.
kind
I
of
can
stuff.
get into that. So they have a
So you might.
new album coming out
The one I was listening to, I think, was older,
on
but I'd
their
never heard
Facebook
it.
set. It says, or Facebook page. It says pre-order "Wish You Were Here." I don't know if it's a full album or an EP or what, It's on Pure Noise. Interesting. Oh, and it looks like they're doing a little tour with Stories So Far and Turnover right now.
Nice.
That's a pretty stacked tour.
Kevin Geyer, guitarist vocalist for Story So Far.
Yeah, I know which one he is. He's the one with the beard.
Yeah, so that one's pretty good. Let's see what else. Matt Caricus. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Kerekes. And Matt is only with one T. But he's the lead singer for Citizen. Have you ever heard of them? They're like more like a punk band, I guess.
Yep. They're pretty good.
And
I've
listened to them. They're all right. Yeah, I was never like super into them, but he does like he's got his own like side project where it's more acoustic. It's almost reminds me of like 90s alternative, like acoustic driven pop songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really good. He's got a song on his newer album or EP with Anthony Green that's pretty good.
Anything with Anthony Green I'm down for, so.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool. It's upbeat, like, you know, kind of acoustic driven emo music. I don't even know if I would classify it as emo, but it's pretty good. I would check that out.
Absolutely. I love that I can, with Spotify, I can kind of stalk what you're listening to a little bit since we're on the same family plan or whatever. Because every time I open up my Spotify app on my PC, I'm like, oh, what has Tom been listening to? Because over to the right, it says Thomas has been listening to blah, 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 and like lists out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot lately, yeah, for sure.
And then when you're like, let's see what Gresham has been listening to, it's just like the same ridiculous shit over and over and over.
I saw you were listening to like a top 100 EDM tracks playlist.
Okay, now in all fairness, I've been streaming a lot, right? So I've been using that as the background music for my stream. And let's be honest, when you're playing video games, like I've tried doing emo music. I've tried to like work it in a little bit. And I do have an emo playlist, but you're trying to keep the stream hype and you're playing video games. So EDM is like an easy fit there. Everyone kind of digs it. And
yeah. I will say I have a really strong connection in my mind between the original Halo Combat Evolved and brand new's Okay, I Believe You, but my Tommy Gun Don't.
Were you listening to it a lot at the time or something?
I would listen to that song on repeat and play Halo. That's like solid. In my bedroom.
Solid.
Yeah. So every time that song comes on now, I'm like, oh yeah, Halo.
Should pick Halo up again. That's great.
I was this close and my fingers are really close together.
I was kind of that way with The Used. I listened to what album is The Taste of Ink on? I always lose my mind.
It's their self-titled.
Okay, so I used to listen to their self-titled when I was playing World of Warcraft.
Is it self-titled or is it maybe Memories?
Regardless, the album with the tree with the heart like hanging from it or whatever. I think that's their self.
No. That's In Love and Death.
I think it is In Love and Death.
What Taste song were you just talking about?
Taste of Ink. Maybe it's on the previous. Yeah, you're right.
That's on their first one.
You're right. Regardless, anytime I hear that song now, I immediately think of World of Warcraft. Even though I don't play anymore, even though I don't really want to play anymore, it still like sort of makes me want to play a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because of like you said, you can get a really strong association with music.
Yeah, and like I said, I was saying I was this close to buying the Master Chief collection.
The Master Chief collection, yeah. So you could play Halo too.
So I could play Halo again.
That's great. And I think on Xbox they just announced backwards compatibility for all the old Halos. So if you owned them on 360, but there's more than were in the Master Chief collection. Like, isn't there like Reach and some of the ones that were not in the Master Chief collection? I think are now backwards compatible.
But they like remastered the first two Halo games in the Master Chief collection. So it was like you could toggle back and forth between the old graphics and the new ones, and
it's a huge difference.
Yeah. Like just having all of that in one package. I'd rather buy that than try and figure out a way to play the old version.
Yeah. I just think I saw there's been a couple of people doing streams where they did the remastered of 1 and 2, and then they're doing like backwards compatible for the ones that aren't in the Master Chief collection, like Reach and stuff, and they're playing through the entire series, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. That'd be cool to do someday. I've like been meaning to, but knew that I would never get through it.
I can barely play the games that I have, man. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
crazy. What's up, man? Thanks for the follow. Is that Dave Grohl? He thinks you look like Dave Grohl, Tom.
Nice. I've gotten that
That's a
before.
compliment. That's awesome.
I have gotten that before. I will take it. We're actually from like similar areas. There's like Dave Grohl Street or Dave Grohl's Alley in Warren, Ohio, which is like 30 minutes from where I grew up.
It's pretty legit, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty legit. Nirvana and Foo Fighters. I mean, you can't really with short hair. Dave Grohl with short hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm into it. I think it's a good comparison.
I'll take it. Yeah.
So yeah, as far as what I've been listening to, you just named like 6 or 7 indie groups that I've never heard of in my life in typical Tom hipster fashion. And I'm over here like listening to the most mainstream shit of all time. I've basically been crushing like every typical like summer album that I listen to. I've been listening to a lot of like Neck Deep, which I actually have my Neck Deep shirt on right now.
Nice.
But I've been listening to a ton of Neck Deep. A lot of story so far.
Of course.
The EDM playlist for when I stream, obviously, but that doesn't count. And then just a couple other like pop punk bands, and still jamming to Hot Mulligan. I kind of revisited Del Paxton quite a bit.
Nice.
And then I was really enjoying that new Rat Boys album, and I think we talked about maybe doing an episode on that. I don't know if you ever gave it a listen or if you dug it.
I did. I listened through it like once or twice during work. It was okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't like
just okay.
I wasn't crazy about it. I think what really turned me off about it was the way the vocals were mixed. It's like the vocals get so lost.
They were kind of low in the mix.
Rest of the instrumentation. So it's kind of hard to get past that for me. I don't know.
I definitely thought the vocals were
like,
low in the mix, but it kind of felt like maybe that was what they were going for a little bit. Like that was their style.
It was good for like, so I played through it twice just because I had put it on Spotify and was just like working away. And before I knew it, it had played through twice. And I was like, wow, that wasn't bad. So it was good like background, like working music.
Yeah.
I didn't like get super into it.
Anytime there's like a female vocalist led emo band, I get super excited because I don't feel like there's a lot of them. But the ones that there are all really solid. And so it's like the same thing with Julian Baker. You know, the first time like I listened to some of her stuff, I was really excited about it. It's just kind of a breath of fresh air because there's so many like male vocalist driven bands that are out there copying American football and, you know, like just kind of all sounding the same and kind of doing the same things. So when that Rat Boys album came out, it was getting really, really good press. And I was like, oh, I got to check this out. And just having like, you know, a female vocalist led band that, you know, I really enjoyed was pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely a few good ones out there. I think I've recommended a few to you before, but
so I think it's worth a listen for sure. It may not be like episode worthy, but it's one of the better albums that I've listened to the last couple weeks. And then because of you, I started listening to Posture and the Grizzly, which is the album we're going to be talking about today. And at first I was not crazy about it. I felt like every song I like heard, well, we'll get into it. I felt like every song I heard almost like a different influence, like they were just like copying a bunch of people. But we can talk about that more. But it kind of pissed me off at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I really liked it. And I've been jamming to it the last couple days.
Nice.
And I was actually like singing along with it in the shower before we started recording. So, I mean, that's always a good sign. I mean, that's kind of the test. But yeah, so how did you find them originally? Because I had never heard of them before. They're not super mainstream.
So this was, I didn't find it through Spotify, but it was during that period of time where I was like just going down the rabbit hole and looking for new bands. And I think I was on the emo subreddit, our emo, and somebody had mentioned it. It was like the July album of the month voting contest or whatever, and somebody mentioned it, and I was just like going through and looking at all the posts, and if I've never heard of something, I was like, oh, let me check that out on Spotify. And that's how I found them. They were just like a post on there. I don't even think they had any like like follow-up comments or anything of people saying like, oh yeah, that album's so good or anything like that. I was just
Right.
like, oh, I like the name, I'll check them out. And the more I started listening to them, the more I was like, oh, this is really good. It was when I was the first song on the album, because I like to listen to like the top songs on Spotify just like for a clip to see if I'm gonna like something, and then I'll dive into like one of their albums. And the one song, I'm Not a Real Doctor, is one of those songs that just like instantly caught my attention. And I was like, oh wow, this is really kind of different, kind of cool. The guy's voice sounds really similar to Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw a video of him playing the Tom DeLonge Epiphone Dot. So I know he's I think in an interview or something I saw he is like a self-proclaimed fan.
Yeah.
So
clearly that's like something that's influenced
a big
him.
influence is Blink-182, and it comes across a lot in like some of the riffs. The riffs that he uses in like a lot of the lyrics are just kind of like immature-ish sounding, and just kind of like off the wall.
And for anybody in stream, I just started the album on Spotify, and it's just like really, really low in the background, for kind of added bonus ambiance.
Yeah, I would say what's cool about this band is they remind me of like a mix between Blink-182 and this other band I listen to a lot called Mansions. And I say that because Mansions has more of like that kind of like almost grungy, like alternative vibe to them. So it's not like a real clean pop punk sound like Blink-182. So there's a little bit of that. There's like some dissonant like sounding riffs that go on in certain parts of the album that make it just like a little bit off-putting, not quite as sweet and simple as a lot of pop songs are. But I think that's what makes it interesting. So it's kind of cool that it's like a mixture of those two.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole lot grungier than Blink-182, which I think was when you first told me about them, you compared them to Blink-182 and Mansions, and I went into it expecting this like really kind of carefree, like pop punky. Not that Blink-182 doesn't deal with like heavier shit in their older songs, but they were still most about like hooking up or like, you know, just fucking around like in high school or whatever. It was all kind of like somewhat carefree. And when I started listening to Posture and the Grizzly, that's not what I got at all. Like it's definitely like heavier, darker, like grungier. So I was kind of like, I don't quite get the Blink-182 comparison. But the more that I listen to it, it's clearly just his voice. Like he is definitely like emulating Tom DeLonge with his voice, which I'm into because I think Tom DeLonge is like the man, and I love that singing style for sure, that vocal style.
Yeah, I think that and knowing right off the bat that he was a big fan kind of colored the way I looked at them. I think, but a lot of the like even the bass parts. I can't even think of the name of the song, but the one song that starts off with like a bass riff kind of sounds like it could be an early Blink song. Or even something from like an early Brand New album. Because I feel like Brand New had a lot of emphasis on like bass riffs, which was
absolutely. There's a couple songs on the album, starting with the second song, which is playing in the background right now, Elliot, that actually gave me Newfound Glory vibes, dude. Which is like, I know that like makes no sense with this band, but it has that like kind of like 90s like pop punk sound that like Newfound Glory and some of those other bands that were like radio famous at the time. I still listen to like that song My Friends Over You or whatever all the time. Like it's in all my playlists, even though it's like super cheesy and old. But Elliot, as soon as the second song kicks in, that's immediately what I thought of was Newfound Glory.
Yeah, like those typical pop punk like riffs. The tone on the guitars, I think, is what you're talking about, because it reminds me a lot of like that early 2000s like pop punk guitar tone. Like it's very signature of that style for sure.
Absolutely. I don't know why I said 90s. Newfound Glory is definitely like 2000s, right?
Yeah, I think they were late 90s maybe.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. We'll give it to me.
Definitely early 2000s.
Cool.
Which is crazy because they're still like touring, and it's been like 20 years.
There's so many groups like that. I don't even want to talk about current Blink-182. That are just like clinging on for dear life to something that is clearly gone, you know, like all the magic of Blink was the fact that they were like kids, you know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
things that they were going
Yeah.
through at the time and everything fit their style and their lyrics and everything perfectly. And now seeing these like 46, 47-year-old guys like tour around the US and talk about like, you know, like if you listen to their new album, they're trying to talk about all the old same shit that they were talking about when we were in high school, and it just doesn't apply to their lives anymore. Like they're married with kids, you know what I mean, like singing about high school heartbreak and stuff, and it's just like, come on, like it's worn
time to
out at
move
this
on.
point. Like time to grow up a little bit. That's why I liked
Well,
Angels with
that's-
Airways, because it was a move in a more mature direction.
Yeah.
So I totally get why
Well,
Tom
I
was
would've
like,
used-
I'm
I
not
would've used
doing this
Boxcar
anymore.
Racer. I would use that Boxcar Racer rather than.
Boxcar is still kind of
It's
immature.
just a personal. That's a personal preference. Yeah,
Speaking of which, I
guess,
still haven't gotten that, by the way, either. From
Oh, really?
SR. No, I
You
haven't got
ordered
that.
didn't you?
Mhm. I feel like their repressings are
I'm
not
trying to
going well
think.
right now.
Yeah, I think I pre-ordered that from them, so that's really weird because I got mine like a month ago.
I'll have to double check with them. Yeah, because that was like
weird.
that's pretty high up on my list of things that I really want in the collection. So I'll have to double check on that one.
So I mean, when I started listening to this band too, I got really excited because I thought of you like instantly. I was like, G would be all over this. It sounds like earlier Blink-182, and he's like a younger version of Blink at this point, so it's more genuine. That's coming like these sounds are coming from him rather than, you know, like you were saying, 30-40-year-old guys.
Right.
So there's an element of being more genuine, and then it has more of like a raw kind of DIY sound. I mean, talk about DIY attitude. I think the lead singer Jordan, and I can't even begin to pronounce his last name. It's like
they just call him like Jay Nasty or something on their website. Yeah.
So basically, the Facebook page lists 4 band members, and they're from Willimantic, Connecticut. But I believe Jay Nasty is the primary driving creative force behind Fostering the Grizzly. I think he does most of the songwriting, and his previous releases, I think, were mostly him doing a lot of the recording.
Yeah.
But it looks like he runs like. He's listed as the general manager. He runs like the booking and the press contact emails. So I ordered. We had kind of started talking about this, but I ordered the vinyl for this album.
Which one did you get? Because I see some pretty cool variants up here.
So yeah, the first pressing through what is it, Broken World Media. The first pressing had like. I wish I could bring it up more quickly.
Looks like maybe Easter Yellow is the only one that's left. Is that what you
that
had to get?
And Black. No. So I didn't end up ordering it through Broken World Media. I went through their Big Cartel page. Somehow found that through Googling, because I wanted the half clear, red splatter.
Yeah, the Oxblood or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think it was out of 100 and was sold out, but it was way like obviously.
Does it have green in it as well?
Yeah.
Is it almost like half and half? Yeah, I think I found it. For those of you watching, I'm gonna put it over Tom's camera for a second, so that you guys can see it.
Yeah. So there's like a.
Yeah, there it is.
A red with white
cool
and blue
variant.
splatter. And then the half green, half milky clear with oxblood splatter. So I did some Googling, trying to find the splatter variants, and I think it was on Discogs for like $40 or something like that. And I was like, I don't want it that bad, but let me see if I can find it. And I ended up on their Big Cartel page, and one of the options was, I think it just said split with splatter. So I ordered that, hoping I would get one of the out of print variants. But haven't gotten like any sort of confirmation. I did get an automated confirmation when I submitted my order, and the the reply or the like help email that they provided was Jordan's email, like his personal
nice
email. So it's like a very
I'm sure
DIY,
you'll be set though, because the nice thing about a lot of these releases when they sell out of a cool variant is it seems like they've pre-allocated a certain amount to any other retailers that they have, which is why I keep getting lucky on Amazon, because I almost go to Amazon and see if they have it now and order from that if they've sold out all the cool variants, because Amazon is completely random and you have no control. But 90% of the time that I've ordered from Amazon, I've gotten a cool variant. Because whatever their
That's crazy.
stock
Like,
is, you know, like they just buy some of everything and just give you whatever.
Yeah. I feel like my experience has been the total opposite of that. I feel like almost everything I've ordered from Amazon has
just
come
been
in
black. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think I've really, like, anything that's from a smaller label, I usually try to order from the label.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most of what I order from Amazon is like mass pressings of really popular albums.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Why, but...
So I haven't pre-ordered this yet, but I'll have to see what's left. It looks like maybe just the Easter yellow, but still looks cool.
Actually, we didn't talk about this. So this album actually came out last year. This, where it says pre-order, ship in late June, they're talking about last June, I think.
Not
so this
this
is an
June.
album.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is an album that flew totally under my radar.
Yeah,
for all of 2016, and then so that's why it's weird it showed up in that Reddit thread. But
yeah,
good fortune that it did, because I totally missed this last year, and it's definitely like a smaller label. I think a lot of their bands are like Bandcamp bands, so they're pushing a lot of like really emo music.
Yeah, that's been honestly, and I know we've said it before, but that's been the best thing about doing this podcast, is just discovering so much new music and still finding bands like this and being like, how the hell have I never heard of these guys? They sound like so much of what I listen to in the summer, and yet nobody's ever recommended them to me. They've never come up before, and I don't think if we weren't doing the podcast, we would even have found them. So
yeah,
definitely.
So yeah, no, all good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, the first few times, like I said, the first time I heard I'm Not a Real Doctor, I was kind of hooked. But the more I listened to it, the more each of these songs started to grow on me. So over the course of like the second half of our vacation in Arizona, I really started to fall in love with this album. And then like last week, that's all I listened to. So like I listened to it on bike rides and stuff. It's so nice. Perfect for.
I feel like it's a perfect like pacing for being outside and riding a bike or something.
I was talking to Shayna about this, because it's funny, because I don't like to listen to a lot of like really high energy music when I go on bike rides. I like to listen to more, like, one of my favorite albums to listen to is Bon Iver's self-titled album, because it's just like so chill.
Like your time to like reflect or something, just kind of find your zen.
It's easier to take your mind off the fact that your whole body is in a ton of pain and you just want to stop, but you can't. So it's like, I don't know, I always like listen to like more chill music like that. And this is kind of like right at the top edge of that.
Yeah.
Because it's not, like you said, it's more of like a mid-tempo paced album.
Yeah.
Not very.
And there's slower songs that are more reflective and stuff too. So.
Yeah, sure. And there's actually 2 instrumental tracks on this album, which I thought was really cool. And I love what they did with these instrumentals. And even on a lot of the other songs, they'll have large sections where it's just instrumentation, and they'll.
Well, did you know that a few of the members that worked on this album, I don't know if they're like full-time members of the band, are from The World Is a Beautiful Place and I'm Not Afraid to Die? And that's like their whole thing is like the just like epic guitars and instrumentals and just like these like really ethereal like the song that is playing in the background right now is Shooting Sparks, and it's very The World Is a Beautiful Place and I'm Not Afraid to Die. Like it very much without all the extra noise that those guys have, and that was the thing that turned me off of The World Is a Beautiful Place a little bit. There's just too much going on. This is like a little bit parsed down from that. But it still has like some of that vibe, which
and it's funny, it's cool, because I think they kind of balanced out Posture and the Grizzly sound from before this album came out. I think they had an EP that came out in 2014 called Bush Hymns. I think it was 14, 15, somewhere around there. But the sound on that album was a lot more aggressive and like more punk than on this new album. So I feel like the contributions from some of the other temporary, I guess I would call them at this point, band members really kind of mellowed out the sound, the Posture and Grizzly sound, and I think it made them a lot more accessible
Yep.
and listenable. Like I'll put this on and Shayna will like enjoy listening along with them, which is always a good indicator because there's a lot of things I listen to where she's like, nope,
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to this.
Yep.
So it's cool when we can like listen to something and both kind of like enjoy it.
And for those of you who've never listened to "The World Is a Beautiful Place" and "I'm Not Afraid to Die," which is like the longest band name of all time, think like Explosions in the Sky, sort of like they have like 10 band members. Tom and I have seen them live. They were actually kind of like disappointing live because they just have so much going on stage, and it's hard enough, I'm sure, for them to get the mix correct with like 12 instruments on their studio recordings, but trying to get 12 instruments to sound good in a live setting with equipment that you're not used to, being on, and everything else in an acoustic setting that you're not used to being in is just difficult. So it just sounded really noisy.
Yeah. It was a cool experience. Like they turned the lights off and had like different lighting on the stage, and it was like really, I don't know, the atmosphere, I guess, was really cool.
Yep.
Like it's not.
They had a cool like lead into their set where it was real dark, and then the lights slowly came up as the music built and everything. So it was cool.
It was more like theatrical than just like a regular emo.
Yeah, for sure.
Show, which was cool. I always appreciate that kind of stuff. But yeah, like you said, the sound. It was like a really tiny stage. It was Black Cat in DC, right?
Yeah. Very small.
It's a really small stage, and just like, yeah, ton of stuff going on there. I think they did have like 10 people on stage.
And I think we've talked about this so many times with the different bands that we listen to, but even just like Evan Weiss kind of like saying less is more on his last couple releases, and then some of the albums that he's produced as well being like less is more. Definitely like I feel like that applies to bands like that, and that's why I like have a hard time completely getting into them. I can enjoy them for just like a little bit, and then it's like it's just too much for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this album has a really good balance of that. The more ethereal guitars and all the layering and some of the distortion, like you mentioned earlier, without going overboard on it.
I think about like Prawn's Ships EP.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of elements of like that post rock kind of like a lot of reverb and delay in the electric guitars, and just give it like a really grand kind of sound.
Yeah.
I think some of that comes through on this album, but it's got more of like a raw sound to it somehow. I don't know, it's like a little less polished, makes it sound
for being so DIY though. The recording is really good. Like I feel like it's a high quality recording. Like I think they did a good job in the studio. Obviously we can't speak to the vinyl yet. When you get it, we can follow up on it in our next episode and talk about
100%.
the pressing quality. But I was impressed just for, like you said, a more DIY, like he's managing their band and everything. This definitely doesn't sound like it was recorded in a garage. Like the mix is well done. The vocals sit, where I would want them to sit in the mix.
Yeah.
You can definitely hear what he's saying, and
yeah, any of the like DIY elements you get from the mix or the overall sound of the album, I think are good things. Like
they don't detract.
They're
from
all things that like add to the overall like sound for sure.
For sure.
So
Any other comments on like lyrics, or I haven't really like dug into the lyrics a whole lot. Obviously, just paying attention, like listening through it. It's pretty emo, like definitely like it's lot very, of like F you, like you broke my heart, like very much like typical kind of heartbreak and some of the like pretty common topics.
Oh yeah. I don't want to say that there's nothing like really different about the lyrics in this album, but they are very like you said, very typical emo type lyrics. I think the words that he uses, the word choice and the poetry that kind of goes along with his songs, I think is really nice. So I like that about it. I think the lyrics are very pretty sounding, which counts for something, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, let's just put it out there. Like the name of the album, I Am Satan, like it kind of like it. I was like real hesitant about doing this episode just because I hate the name of the album so much, and I don't feel like it like makes any sense. Because when you
It
listen,
doesn't. It
like
really
based on the
doesn't.
cover and that name, you would think that this was like a metal band or like some sort of like, just
Possibly.
really like, I don't know, dark kind of band. But and not that there's not like dark elements and obviously like a lot of like a lot of pain and stuff in the lyrics, but
Hmm.
it's not at all what you would expect based on the title to me.
Yeah. I think it's cool talking about like themes in the album. I think it's there's a lot of themes of like self-image and that sort of thing, which came through a lot in the new Free Throw album. And I think those kind of lyrics are really relatable.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I feel like that's kind of becoming a more and more accepted practice, like writing songs about that kind of stuff in the emo
Yeah.
world.
And I will say the song Kill Me is like dark, dude. So I'll just read a little portion of the lyrics here. I've been staying up the past 3. What a feeling drugs are easier to date. Constantly gaining weight, but not eating. And just fucking kill me, or I will fucking kill me. I know you will kill me. Just fuck me over. I'm too stoned to know we were just wrong. Like, holy shit. Like, it's dark,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't necessarily get all of that from like their sound, because it is like a
yeah.
more like upbeat kind of sounding
Like
pop
poppy
punk
kinda sound.
kind of sound, even on that song. But the lyrics are kind of dark.
And then there's like Acid Bomb. The lyrics are very like self-deprecating. Like he talks about not being able to save money because he's from a trailer park, so he
Yep.
doesn't know much. Terrible family life.
Living in a trailer
And
park, a fucked up family life.
I'm
Yeah,
paraphrasing, yeah, I'm paraphrasing to avoid all of the cursing that occurs on this album because I
just because you think your mom listens to the podcast, so I can
Yeah.
keep dropping the F-bomb, but as long as you don't, it's okay. So your
Totally
mom will
fine,
just
yep.
hate me. That's great.
she already.
I
hated
really
me.
like your mom. Damn it, does she really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Brutal. So yeah, I think there was another album that I was going to compare it to when it comes to the lyrics. Oh, I feel like we've gotten these really dark albums this year that we've enjoyed. So Sorority Noise, like, didn't like it when it first came out because I wanted to love it, but it was so depressing and it just was,
heavy.
it hit me at the wrong time. Like, I was going through kind of depression in my personal life and I couldn't really get into the album. I almost feel the same way with this when you first introduced me. I don't know if I was kind of having a bad day like a couple weeks ago. You introduced me to it. I just wasn't in the right place and it was so heavy and kind of dark in places that I wasn't feeling it at the time. I had been listening to like Neck Deep and pop punk all day and then I started this up and I was like, whoa, like it just didn't hit me right.
It's definitely a little heavier than kind of your standard pop punk fare.
Right. But then on second listen, I mean, Sorority Noise, their album has become one of my favorite albums of the year. Like, will definitely be on my top 10 list for 2017. I have a feeling it'll probably be on your top 10 as well.
So
I mean, it's still maybe like number 1 at this point for you.
Yeah,
right?
so we haven't had like an episode or anything where we talked about like favorite albums of the year so far, and we're more than halfway through the year. But
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely my number 1 at
Yeah.
this point.
But it's gonna be competitive. We'll see.
Yeah, I think and then the next few months, I think we're gonna see a lot more big releases too.
It's potential to get Bad Books 2. Obviously, we're gonna get Manchester
3.
Orchestra this month, or 3. Yeah. So that could be a little bit of a stretch, I think you said, to get by the end of the year. But I have high hopes for Manchester this month. We're a couple weeks away.
Yeah, can't wait for that for sure.
Anything else to
That's
say about
probably-
this album? That's kind of all I really had.
Yeah, no, that's probably all I had to say about it, other than you should listen to it.
Yeah, you really should. And if you're a fan of most of what we talk about and a fan of Blink and pop punk and a little grungier punk too, I think these guys would be a good fit. And now that you said that you reminded me about Mansions, I feel like I want to go listen to Mansions again.
Yeah. I started to a little bit.
And since our last episode, I will say I've listened to or Someone Still Loves You, Boris Yeltsin, like a million times. Like that album, Let It Sway, I've listened to so many times, like on repeat.
It's awesome.
It is a really, really good album, and it's hard to believe it's as old as it is.
Yeah, it's held up so well
Yeah.
for like kind of like a weird indie pop album that flew under everyone's radar.
What's weird to me is that when we were in high school and I would turn on, the local like rock station and they would be playing like something that I would consider like oldies, something that my dad would have listened to, whether it was like Van Halen or like, whatever else. I felt like, oh man, this is super old and not relevant and doesn't apply to me and I don't dig it. But that stuff was only 15 to 20 years old when we were in high school. And now I'm listening to music that I don't consider like old at all, like American Football or, Someone Still Loves You, Boris Yeltsin. That's like 20 years old.
Yeah, almost.
So it's pretty much like it's oldies almost at this point.
Yeah.
And I wonder by the time you and I have kids, how they'll feel about some of what we listen to. If it'll just be, if they'll just be listening to all EDM
like,
and
man,
rap with
so
their
old.
friends and like, oh, Dad, you're such a loser. You listen to American football? Blink-182? What a loser. You're so like weird, Dad.
If my kids look back and think of American football the way I think of like Journey, I will be a very sad father.
Yeah, it'll be sad. Hopefully we can raise them with a good appreciation of good music. So.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for hanging out. Typically we do these episodes like it was supposed to be weekly, but that is not sustainable. Like in any world, there's just no way that we can talk about 52 albums a year, unless we like went digging and just talking about just anything. We'd rather talk about things that we're hyped and excited about, and the quality would just go downhill like big time. So every week we will not be doing a podcast, but every couple weeks we get really excited about a new album and we'll do an episode. So thank you so much for everyone who watched on Twitch. Thank you for all of our subs on iTunes and Stitcher and everywhere else that we post this every week. So episode 20, man, we made it. Like we've been doing this podcast for 6 months now? We're in our seventh month. Yeah. So we started in January.
Hard to believe.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with 20 episodes for 6 months. I feel like we've been pretty faithful about it. So the big 2-0. I guess the next milestone to me is like 50, right? 50's like 50's like
we'll have to do something special.
Yeah. Do another we're probably due for another vinyl giveaway too. And I still have I think I have one that I'm holding for you. So I have Wild Pink, the red, white, and blue that you weren't able to get, like the pre-order exclusive. So I have that for you, but then I think I still have an extra album from our top 10 list last year. I think it was your top album of the year last year. Remind me what your top album of the year was Pup. Yeah, so I have that. I have a duplicate of that to give away.
Oh, nice.
And then I have a duplicate of something else that I have to remember. So yeah, we'll do another giveaway soon. Stay tuned to our Instagram. I know a lot of you guys follow us there, so we'll do some more giveaways. Well, thanks for hanging out. I will be live again shortly with video games, more fun stuff. But this was Guys with Record Collections. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thanks.